So, we just got back from our trip to Boracay. And I lost all the footage that I took with my camera. This phone saved me from losing my sanity after I saw the photos that I took with this. For those of you who aren't familiar, this is the OPPO Reno8 Pro. And this has a 50 megapixel camera with the Sony IMX766 sensor, the same one that the original Reno8 has. But this also has a dedicated imaging chip, the Mari Silicon X NPU, the same one found in the OPPO Find X5 Pro. This camera is amazing. Everything it captures is so detailed that I can hardly tell the photos that I shot with this and my professional mirrorless camera. It's great for most types of photography that one would practically need. Yeah, I still do notice that it looks a bit too HDR, which is something that I've noticed with a lot of OPPO phones, but this is something that can easily be corrected in post with some editing. That said, with or without tweaking, photos are already Instagram worthy. If it isn't obvious already, I like it. Like, I really like it. To the point that I may even consider not bringing my camera at times. I did compare the photos with the original Reno8, and the difference isn't too big, but there is a very slight improvement when handling dynamic range. There's more detail in the shadows and the highlights now as compared to the Reno8. Having this with me, I just have that feeling of certainty that I have a good camera for that unexpected photographic moment. Video is another thing that really impressed me with this phone. The video quality on this is on a different level. For one, the image stabilization on this is on point. EIS and OIS combined, even shooting video on a speedboat where I almost vomited because of the shake, yet the stabilization on this is still able to keep the footage steady. Also, a common thing that smartphone cameras have for video is the over-sharpening of images. This doesn't do that. I doubt that you even noticed that one of the shots from our intro sequence was actually filmed using the Reno8 Pro. It blends in very nicely with my Sony camera, which kind of makes this a good B camera for filmmakers or for content creators. Comparing the software with the original Reno8, the 8 Pro now has a dedicated movie mode where you can control everything manually when taking video. Very handy if you're a control freak like me who likes having to manually tweak settings to get the best possible image. However, I do hope that they release an update for this, as it only seems to shoot at a wider 21:9 aspect ratio as opposed to the standard 16:9 that we mostly use. There's also the 32 megapixel selfie camera, which does take decent selfies, but you do have to turn down the beautification filter a bit, as by default it is set pretty extreme. The design on this phone is really sexy. At a glance, it seems kinda boxy, but looking at it closely, there are slight curves around the edges of the frame to make it feel more comfortable to hold. The camera module at the back is significantly wider, but still as pronounced as the original Reno8, which again makes it feel a bit more comfortable to hold with your index finger resting on the curve. And adding all these design details make it feel satisfying to grip overall. It does also fit well into my front pants pocket, being that the phone didn't get any bigger despite the screen getting a larger overall dimension. Speaking of the screen, this is an aspect of this phone which I think could have been promoted more. The picture quality on this is top-notch. The colors really pop out, especially when put side by side with other phones. This beats a lot of them, including its more expensive competition. And even when compared to the original Reno8, the display on the 8 Pro is superior. That is in terms of size, sharpness, vibrance, and refresh rate, with this one being 120Hz. Plus, the bezels are also pretty commendable, being admirably thin. If you think about it, this phone is pretty compact for one having such a large display, which is perfect for watching movies if you're into doing that on your phone. And another thing that they have improved on this is the sound quality. This has stereo speakers, which, unlike other phones with dual speakers, the earpiece on this doubles as its loudspeaker. And I have to say, it sounds pretty decent for a phone. Now, moving on to the specs of this phone, the Reno8 Pro actually came in different versions depending on its region of release. This particular one is being powered by the Dimensity 8100 Max chipset. It's not a very common chip, but I can guarantee that it performs really well. I was expecting it to be an incremental increase over the original, but the speed difference is pretty significant. I can say that this does play around the ballpark of flagship level performance. Not once did I feel like I wasn't using a high-end phone. In fact, it's very comparable to other flagship performance if you're not comparing benchmark numbers. It doesn't compete in being the fastest, but it does come very close and on the surface, indistinguishable to others with high-end processors. This even turned me into a Genshin Impact gamer given that I can easily play this game on Ultra running at a mostly stable 30 FPS. And knowing how demanding this game is and that it can run Ultra settings is impressive. Apart from that, this barely touched 40 degrees Celsius. I mostly stayed at 39 even after playing the game for hours. Of course, if this game performs well, then most other games would probably as well. And for day-to-day use, I've never had an issue with it. The Color OS on this feels very polished. OPPO even allows you to expand the RAM by an additional 12GB if that's something that you feel is necessary. Charging speeds on the Reno 8 Pro are pretty much identical to the Reno 8. 17% to 100% only took this guy 14 minutes. That's extremely fast even by today's standards. The battery life may seem pretty average, lasting about 2 days, but I think for most users, that is already more than enough. I would say that this phone is something that OPPO could have really promoted more. There's so many aspects in this phone that they've done really well. And in my opinion, this belongs in one of their best phones in their current lineup. Believe it or not, I would happily choose this over a number of flagships around. But I think the real reason why OPPO isn't going all out in promoting this is that they might be being a bit too careful not to cannibalize their already very successful OPPO Reno 8. And quite frankly, I would go with the Reno 8 Pro any day. It's just a really good phone. That is if you are looking for something along this price range. Beautiful design, amazing cameras, excellent screen, and top-level performance. You really can't go wrong with this. But that's just me. I want to know what you guys think about the Reno 8 Pro down the comment section below. And while you're at it, you might want to hit that like button and subscribe if you're into this type of content. And I will see you in the next video.